Hey everybody. I actually filmed this earlier today and tried to put it up, but I ended up losing the video. So I'm going to do it again. It's a little late now. I just got off work, so it's about 11 at night. But I will try to do this and hit all the things that I hit the first time. Tonight we are doing Purkey cult movie number 3. And this movie is going to be Planet of the Vampires from 1965. Now, I did get a request to do Frankenhooker from the 80s, and or maybe it's the 90s, I'm not sure. And I will probably do that in the near future, but for the moment, I was inspired to do Planet of the Vampires. So, for those of you who don't know, it's made by, directed by Mario Bava. Mario Bava is most known as a late 60s director, kind of in the classic sort of Hammer Gothic style of horror from Italy. But then he also went into the early 70s and did some very slasher type films. So if you want to see a couple of his old Gothic style, which are still really good, you can look for Black Sabbath or Black Sunday, which I think also might have been called like Curse of the Mask or The Mask of the Devil, something like that. And then to see his more slasher type films, the one to really look for is either called Bay of Blood, or I think another name it had was Twitch of the Death Nerve. That movie was from the early 70s and is highly influential in the look and the style of later slasher films, especially Friday the 13th movies. So look for that one, Bay of Blood or Twitch of the Death Nerve. This, though, is kind of right in the middle. 1965's Planet of the Vampires, often considered very influential to the look and the story of Alien. So, let's talk a little bit about Planet of the Vampires. You're going to notice a few things here. Right out of the gate, you do see the real classic kind of 50s sci-fi sort of spaceships and models and sets, but they're a little more colorful. And the spaceship has a kind of a U shape, which is very reminiscent of the derelict spaceship on Alien. I quite like this movie a lot. It does have that kind of feel of those old 50s B-movie sci-fi, but also the color and the style of the later Italian horror movies. You'll also notice that the costumes they have are very unusual. They're not that usual silver costume that you'd see, spacesuits you'd see in the B-movie sci-fi, but they're like black leather, almost look like they could be motorcycle outfits or, you know, trendy, I don't know what, from Italy. The sets are very colorful, lots of fog and mist. Once again, much more mysterious and horror-like than the average sci-fi movie. You can see a bit of that in Alien as well. And then one of the most interesting things about this movie is they eventually end up at a derelict spaceship, much like Alien. They find a very old alien spaceship on this planet. When they go inside, they find giant skeletal remains of the aliens. And these aliens had sent a beacon that brought them to the planet. Very, very similar to Alien. And really stylish and really cool. This part of the movie especially stands out. And I remember it giving me the creeps when I was a little kid and kind of remembering it, not knowing what the movie was and finding it years and years later, discovering that it was Planet of the Vampires. So what are the vampires? I don't really think there are really vampires in this movie. It's almost more of zombies in a sense at the end of it. Either way, it's kind of bonkers and campy and really colorful and cool art design. A lot of fun if you like that kind of old campy B-movie sci-fi movies, and also if you like Italian movies from the 60s and 70s. Hope you enjoy.